Argentina enters the tournament as the defending world champions, and every opponent will plan a blueprint to stop them. In this video, we cut through the hype to show exactly how Argentina can repeat, the tactical tweaks, the 3 players who matter most, and the match scenarios that will decide their fate. You'll get clear, evidence-based breakdowns of squad depth, injury risks, and tactical vulnerabilities, so you can spot the turning points as they happen. Stay with us, and you'll know what to watch in every game, and why one mistake could end the title defense. How Argentina will defend their title. Argentina rely on continuity, a stable coaching structure, and an experienced core provide the spine for any title defense, and that foundation shapes selection, training, and match plans. The technical profile of the squad, skilled ball carriers, creative midfielders, and quick forwards, favors a possession-based approach with fast vertical transitions. Coaches will prioritize control of the midfield and tight defensive organization as first principles. That creates a template for tailoring tactics to specific opponents while preserving a recognizable identity. Tactically, flexibility matters more than rigidity. The team can press in coordinated waves to recover possession high, but it must also drop into a compact block without the ball when facing quick counterattacks. Attacking patterns will alternate between wide overloads and quick one-touch vertical passes through the middle to exploit half spaces. Set plays provide a reliable opportunity to score. Rehearsed routines on corners and free kicks are essential. Defensive set-piece marking and zonal awareness must match the attacking emphasis. Squad management and sports science are central to sustaining performance across a long campaign. Rotating trusted veterans in less critical fixtures helps reduce fatigue and injury risk. Younger players should be integrated gradually, so depth is real rather than theoretical. Monitoring load with GPS and individualized recovery plans allows the staff to preserve form while keeping competitive intensity. Rest is not optional, it is a strategic resource.
Structural risks need clear mitigation. An aging core raises susceptibility to injuries and dips in explosiveness, while over-reliance on a single creative outlet increases predictability. Tactical opponents will study patterns and aim to neutralize primary playmakers. To counter that, the staff must cultivate multiple sources of chance creation and prepare contingency formations that switch tempo and width quickly. Emphasizing collective press triggers and alternative ball carriers reduces single-point failure. Opposition analysis and match-by-match game plans will determine success against varied styles. Detailed scouting reports, video analysis of opponent weaknesses, and tailored set-piece schemes give marginal gains that add up. Psychological conditioning is also important. The pressure of defending a title can create tightness in moments that require clinical decisions. A leadership group within the squad, clear role definitions, and simulated high-pressure scenarios in training, such as finishing under fatigue or penalty drills after long sessions, help maintain composure. Final results hinge on adaptability. Technical clarity, careful rotation, and targeted risk management make a repeat feasible. Small adjustments, drilled until automatic, separate a robust defense of the title from a fragile attempt.
Short passing chains dominate the attacking phase. One-touch layoffs, timed diagonal runs from the interior midfielders, and staggered overlaps from the fullbacks are the typical sequences that unlock compact defenses. Teams use faint decoy runs to draw a centre-back or full-back out, creating the half space that Messi exploits with quick turns and short through balls. Practical examples include using a deep-lying pivot to receive under pressure, then releasing a bursting central midfielder into the vacated channel. When that happens, the fullback's overlap becomes a high-probability crossing or cutback option. The setup also emphasizes set-piece variety. Quick short corners to the near post, low-driven far post switches, and corner routines that exploit Messi's movement rather than rely solely on aerial strength. There are significant structural risks embedded in the approach. Heavy reliance on a single creative fulcrum concentrates defensive attention and raises robustness concerns if that player is neutralized, injured, or fatigued. The narrowness that creates lethal half-space combinations also leaves the opposite flank exposed if the team commits too many bodies to one side. Additionally, against aggressive man-oriented pressing or coordinated high-press traps, the formation can become compact but static. Turnovers in those zones lead directly to lanes for counterattacks because fullbacks are often high and midfield cover can be stretched. These vulnerabilities demand honest constraint management, rotation policies to mitigate overload on the core playmaker, and contingency roles that can invert the shape quickly.
Mitigation strategies are straightforward and practical. Rotate the creative workload by encouraging midfield runners to initiate attacks and by training an alternative ball distributor who can replicate short, incisive passing patterns when the primary organizer rests. Defensively, assign one pivot explicitly as the sliding shield and the other as the circulation hub, with pre-planned triggers to drop a winger when the flank is threatened. Training should focus on transition scenarios, drills that force immediate recovery runs by overlapped fullbacks, and rondos that simulate press-resistant passing under numerical disadvantage. Small adjustments in match plan, such as deliberately switching play early to the less occupied side, or instructing a midfielder to invert and occupy the vacated flank, reduce predictability without abandoning the formation's creative strengths. The new formation without Di Maria. Angel Di Maria's absence removes a left-sided creator who frequently supplied diagonal runs, accurate crosses, and high-quality deliveries from set pieces. He is naturally left-footed and has operated both as a wide attacker and as a wider attacking midfielder, giving managers the freedom to invert or stretch play on that flank. Losing that combination of feet, crossing, and dead ball skill forces a rethink not only of personnel, but of structural balance across defense and midfield. One immediate option is to shift the responsibility for width to fullbacks. That means players like the left fullback taking more progressive positions to supply overlaps and crosses, while the left-sided attacker tucks in. It creates numerical advantages in the final third, but it also opens the defense in transition. Fullbacks will be caught higher more often, and the team must compensate with a more disciplined pivot in front of the back four to prevent counters.
Alternatively, the coach can convert to a narrow front three and rely on inside forwards. Using two attackers who cut inside lets a central playmaker dictate play through the middle. This preserves creative overload centrally and can increase combinations between the number 10 and the striker. It reduces natural width, however, and the team will need either inverted fullbacks who constantly stretch the touchline or a midfield runner who can push wide to restore lateral balance. Personnel choices shape each tactical variant. Young wide forwards who offer directness and pace bring a different threat, one that favors quick transitions and 1v1 duels rather than Di Maria's measured crossing and control. Players who can shoot from distance and work high on the touchline provide alternatives, but they may lack the veteran decision-making in tight late-game scenarios. A more conservative call is to move an experienced attacking midfielder into the wide role and rely on a double pivot to cover the channels. This sacrifices some explosive width but keeps control. Set-piece delivery must be addressed specifically. Di Maria's quality on corners and free kicks cannot be assumed by a random replacement. The team can train designated takers from central midfield or fullback positions, or incorporate rehearsed routines that focus on near-post flicks and second-phase runs to mitigate the loss. Each fix has trade-offs. Reallocating set-piece duties changes the rhythm and the chemistry, and the new taker may not offer the same variety of trajectory and pace.
Structurally, the biggest risk is predictability. Without Di Maria's diagonal runs and variability, opponents can compress the inside channels and force play down the flanks or into predictable patterns. To counter that, coaches should emphasize rotation between the winger, fullback and inside midfielder, frequent position swaps that restore unpredictability. It requires training time and clear in-game signals though, and there is always an adaptation period where mistakes are likelier. Practical solutions balance immediate needs with long-term cohesion. In the short term, a cautious approach, keeping a central playmaker and asking fullbacks to provide width, reduces defensive exposure. In the medium term, integrating a dynamic wide forward and developing alternative set-piece specialists restores attacking variety. Each choice must be tested against realistic scenarios, high-press opponents, low-block defenses, and situations where protecting a lead is paramount. The team that manages these constraints honestly, drills the new routines, and mitigates the structural vulnerabilities will best preserve collective attacking potency without Di Maria. Messi's role and influence. As captain and primary playmaker, he controls tempo and often dictates how Argentina builds attacks and presses opponents. On the pitch, he frequently drops into midfield to collect the ball, linking defense to attack and pulling opposition markers out of position. Teammates exploit the space that opens up. Wide players and forwards run into gaps he creates, rather than waiting for direct through balls. He is also the designated set-piece and penalty taker in many situations, which concentrates decisive moments around him and gives the team a reliable outlet when structure breaks down.
His influence extends beyond direct goal contributions. Tactically, coaches design patterns around his movement. Fullbacks overlap more confidently, knowing he can combine in tight areas, and midfield partners position themselves to receive his layoffs or to occupy vacated zones. This creates predictable patterns of play that both help and hinder. It streamlines training and match preparation, but it can also make the team vulnerable if opponents successfully neutralize him with focused marking or a compact defensive block. That structural risk requires contingency plans. Leadership and room dynamics shift because of his presence. Younger players benefit from an experiential leader who sets standards for preparation and focus, and his readings of the game often translate into in-game instructions or calming gestures during tense phases. At the same time, the hierarchy can become top-heavy. When he is absent or not at peak form, the team must quickly redistribute responsibility, which is not always seamless. Developing a broader leadership group and rehearsing alternative patterns of play are practical mitigations. His psychological impact on opponents is measurable in how teams allocate players to follow him and the extra defensive attention he commands. This attention opens chances for teammates, but also creates a single-point dependency. Coaches mitigate that by training rotations where others occupy the space he vacates, and by emphasizing transitions that exploit the numerical advantages his drawing of defenders creates. In short, his role is double-edged, an enormous asset that demands structural safeguards.
Finally, his club workload and match rhythm influence form and availability for the national squad, affecting tactical planning and squad rotation.
Managing minutes, monitoring recovery, and integrating rest protocols are part of realistic squad management when a player of his profile serves as a linchpin. Clear contingency strategies, tactical flexibility, and leadership depth reduce systemic fragility while preserving the benefits of his exceptional influence. Chances of repeating success. Argentina arrives with a well-defined spine, a playmaker who still orchestrates attacks, a goalkeeper renowned for shot-stopping and penalty nerves, and a forward line that blends a clinical finisher with a versatile secondary striker who can press or link play. The coaching staff has shown a preference for tactical flexibility, often shifting between a front three that presses high and a compact formation that protects the midfield. This combination of reliable starters and adaptable tactics is a concrete foundation for any title defense. Dependence on a few key individuals is a clear structural risk. When a team's creative output funnels through one or two players, opponents can concentrate fouls, tight marking, and tactical fouling to blunt the supply. Depth becomes the real test then. Club-level minutes and travel also compound that vulnerability, as fatigue raises the probability of muscle injuries and drops in sharpness. Squad rotation is not optional, it is essential to lower cumulative load and preserve match-winning explosiveness.
The bench offers practical mitigation if managed thoughtfully. Experienced backups who can change tempo or profile, bringing pace for late counterattacks or physical presence to defend leads, reduce the danger of over-reliance. For example, using a mobile forward to press tired centre-backs or introducing a box-to-box midfielder to shore up the centre can alter the balance in knockout ties. Young players who have earned club minutes in Europe or domestically can provide fresh legs and tactical unpredictability when introduced at the right moments. Tactical preparation must address opponent adaptation and tournament variability. Clean set-piece defending and design for offensive dead ball scenarios matter more than many supporters assume. Penalty competence in goalkeeping and composure from spot takers is an operational advantage in knockout crunch time. Equally important are contingency plans for adverse weather, late fixtures, and VAR interventions. Logistical and psychological preparations reduce the chance that external factors will destabilize performance. Realistically, repeating a major title is difficult because margins are fine and rival teams close gaps quickly, yet it remains attainable with disciplined rotation, injury prevention protocols, and continued tactical evolution rather than static reliance on past formulas. Manage those constraints honestly, and the team's structural strengths can be converted into another deep competitive run. Argentina defended their title through disciplined tactics, timely individual performances, and effective squad rotation. Compact defending, controlled possession, and a coach willing to adapt under pressure were the constants. They did it while managing real constraints, a congested calendar, injury concerns, and the psychological weight of being favorites, and they proactively addressed structural risks, over-reliance on veteran stars, limited depth in certain positions, and the danger of tactical predictability by integrating younger players and changing systems when needed. You felt the stakes, whether you watched in the stadium or at home, and your reading of the decisive moments matters. If this recap sharpened your view, like the video, subscribe for more, and tell us in the comments which moment you think turned the campaign.